Hi everyone, my name is Habiba, and I'm in a group with Giselle, Daniel, and Leon, and we're going to talk about reducing biodegradables. Daniel?
Yes, sorry. So our proposal question is, how has our constant uses of plastic and other non-biodegradable materials has impacted our local community? This is a short proposal video that I've made.
Oh yeah, Daniel.
So from that video, obviously we wanted to give you a little background on what the issue is so that you have a visual picture of what we're trying to talk about. So this kind of graph is basically telling you what the issue is. So as you can see, styrofoam and plastic usage is most of the waste products that we're laying out on into the environment. But then you also have other things like glass and like tobacco and fabric and rubber and other things. But primarily in our proposal, we're going to focus on the detrimental effects of plastic and styrofoam in our environment and how we can go into a route of environmental sustainability where we shy away from those two things specifically. So first I'm going to talk about why plastic usage is so detrimental. So first of all, newsflash, plastic is not environmentally friendly, and we usually use plastic for everything. I mean, our plastic bags, plastic straws. Honestly, look around your room and you'll probably find plastic in every single corner. And we usually just throw these things out, and they contribute to air pollution and land pollution. And it's especially true for cities, and we live in the biggest city in the world. And think about it, when you're walking in parks or you're walking down the street, you see huge slums of plastic in the city garbage cans, and half of the time they're not even recycled. So they're not going to go to, be reused later on. They're just going to be in a pile of trash that's probably going to end up at the bottom of the oceans and affecting marine life there. In the Bronx especially, we're obviously one of the boroughs that's not looked after because we're not the wealthy and the rich, we're the more marginalized groups. And we don't have a recycling or a garbage bin in every corner of our borough. And that leads to a lot of pileage and a lot of pollution in the air. And having so much plastic be surrounded, and even like styrofoam surrounded in the Bronx, also leads to a lot of health problems. The Bronx has the highest rate of asthma in adults and children in the United States, specifically in the South Bronx. And, that's not an accident. That definitely has a lot to do with environmental factors that we ourselves created, but also have been like, it's not only our problem, it's not only something that we're creating, but also what other people are creating because they slum their trash on us. Yeah. Also, plastic is not biodegradable. they're photodegradable, and that means that plastic does not dissolve but break down into tiny, tiny consumable products. And those pieces of plastics do end up in marine life. And, you know, when you consume those marine life, even if that's, you know, fish or shrimp or whatever, you will also consume it. But I only included that part because as human beings, we are inherently selfish and we only want to learn about how it affects us, but also think about how that might affect the fish population and the marine population and how much pollutants are in the air. Also, it takes 400 years to break down only one plastic bag. And as it breaks down, again, the plastic particles contaminate soils and waterways, and they enter the food web where they're not only affecting the humans, but also other animals that ingest those particles. And this is becoming a huge, huge problem in some areas. There are even 46 times more plastic available for marine animals than there are food, which is just insane to think about. And we have used plastic the most over the last few decades because, you know, plastic got popularized not even a century ago, I think, but we've used it so much that it's already causing a problem. So in the foreseeable future, it will only worsen if we don't halt it right now. And then after plastic, you have styrofoam and why it's so detrimental. It's very similar to plastic in the way that it takes a very, very long time to break down. So I just want to like throw out some facts because I think that's like big numbers are the only way that we can actually understand how much, how detrimental something is. So every day we use 1,369 tons of styrofoam, and those styrofoam are buried into United States landfills. Just to give you an idea of 1,369 tons, like I can't even give you an idea of what that is because I can't even conceptualize that, but it's a lot. You know, it's like a really big amount, and this should not be the case. And that's every single day. Imagine what that's like in a year. And when used with food products, especially when it's heated, styrofoam releases these chemical toxins. It releases into the food, which causes contamination, and that can be very hazardous to your health. Also, these chemical toxins could go into the air and pollute the air, and you know what you're breathing in, you're gonna breathe out, but when you breathe it in, it's gonna mix with your bloodstream, and you know that's a no-no. And when exposed to sunlight, styrofoam creates harmful air pollutants, which contaminate landfills and deplete the ozone layer. And with such great amount of styrofoam usage every day, it's only worsening day by day. And we're not really sure how long it takes for styrofoam to decompose, but we do know that experts are estimating that it takes 500 years for it to fully decompose. But keep in mind, as it's decomposing, it's crumbling up into little bits that end up into your food and marine life and even like land and soil, which is not good.
Okay, so hello, I'm Leon. I'll be speaking about how it's impacting the community. So according to the Department of Environmental Conservation, New York State uses over 23 billion bags each year, and 10 billion of those bags are used in NYC alone. We are a really large city, and those have a major impact on the environment. And ingesting plastic has life-threatening effects on wildlife, and this plastic eventually ends up being digested by humans. Like Habiba had previously mentioned, they break up into small pieces. These fishes and shrimp eat them, and then we end up eating those fish and shrimp and marine life. And that ends up affecting us as well. And yeah, so we have the scary truth. These are statistics that'll hopefully help open up our eyes. 8 million pieces of plastic pollution find their way into oceans every day. 5.7% of all plastics are recycled every year. That's very little. 25 billion number of styrofoam cups are thrown away every year by Americans. We use those for coffee cups, for like ice cups, we use those literally to just drink water, anything. We could easily switch over to something reusable, and we don't. And 90% of the debris in our ocean is plastic. And these are toxins, and they are horrible for your body. We end up eating them once we end up eating those marine life and whatnot.
Okay, so I'm going to be talking about what the state has done. So on March 1st, 2020, a law was passed where it stated that New York State has banned plastic bags from any retail that collects taxes. Although this law was passed, it had been pushed back because of the pandemic. Stores were still given a chance to give plastic bags. Today, only some stores stopped using plastic bags, while others are still using them. So some stores are not giving plastic bags, but if you don't bring your own bag, you have to pay 10 cents for each reusable bag you take. The city outlawed the material on January 1st, 2019. That it was only implemented a few months ago. Although sellers were given 6 months to work on selling those styrofoam products, the products that were sold in many households today are widely used. Additionally, many businesses, although they know they will be fined, don't take it seriously because they are implemented period took a long time. So here's an image where it shows the amount of countries that have banned single-use plastic bags. As you can see in the image, there are approximately 59 countries that had banned plastic bags. Now they should take some action and make a change. The next step is to also ban plastic bags in places that are being charged taxes, like food trucks, people selling fruit who also give plastic bags, and etc. Today, additionally, you pay in stores for paper/reusable bags because plastic bags aren't given. You should also bring your own bag to not be charged the cents for the reusable bags. How we could alter these issues. We could bring your own groceries in reusable bags, use a reusable bottle or mug for your beverages, pack your lunch in reusable containers and bags, use washable metal straws, cardboard bags, reduce plastic storage containers, plastic bags, straws, bottles, jars, wrap, cups, bins, bottle caps, and lids. We could recycle by collecting the plastic materials, sorting it, washing it, resizing it, identification and separation, and composing.
I just want to also mention that we understand that the terms reuse, reduce, recycle are very elementary, but I think that's the point. Like the fact that we learned this in first grade and never implement it just shows that these are the elementary terms that we should go back to. I think just because we learn it in first grade doesn't mean jack, because we don't use it. We learn it and then we like talk about it on Earth Day and then that's it. But I think what's really important is that we actually apply this to our real life. I can assure you that not all of us here abide by every single reusing rule or recycling rule or like reducing rule or upcycling. And things like that are things that we learn in like first grade, but we never adhere to them. So I think, embracing the elementary terms that we learned in first grade is the first step in living a better and sustainable life. And that's why we really wanted to emphasize this specific slide.
And so together we also came up with alternatives for like things that we do on the daily. So we can implement more zero waste grocery stores. There's like these certain stores where you can replace spice containers with like glass mason jars that you can reuse. Rice bags, instead of getting like the plastic ones, you can have cloth bags. And you can refill your soap bottles instead of continuing to buy new ones. Especially in the Bronx, we don't have any zero waste stores, but they have them in Lower Manhattan because once again, we're the poorest. So they don't really care much about us. And we can also transition to phone payment for the metro system instead of using the plastic metro cards. And we buy tons of those like each year. So yeah.
And these are where we got most of our statistics and information from. And thank you so much for listening to us and letting us share this presentation with you. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, that's it.
Great job, y'all. You can stay sharing the screen. I loved this presentation. I love the design of it. The look is wonderful. I love pastel colors. They're so soft and pleasant. And the font is really nice. And I think you all also did a great job with just like the flow was very smooth. You knew who was presenting what, which is good. It's good to decide ahead of time who's going to be reading what slide. And so excellent start. It was clear, it's simple, you know, it's not crowded. And the video, great job, great use of video. That's a very good mixed media way of presenting. It was moving. I love the circle chart. You see the circle chart in slide 4. Thank you for taking your time, bringing us through why plastic is so detrimental. So I think that's the next slide.
Yeah.
So this is a lot of text, and normally if you just read it through, it can be a lot to process for an audience member. Habiba, I think you did a great job of presenting what was on the slide, and also you know, processing it for us, sort of putting it in your own words and speaking to us in your own words. So that was excellent. I love the scary truth. That was really good. Like when you just give me boom, 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 3 simple, you know, points, and it's not cluttered. It's excellent. It's just so easy for the audience to understand and go, huh, we are just dumping millions of pounds of plastic every day into the planet and into the oceans. And so it's easy to understand when you put it that way. Okay, the third bullet, yeah. It's becoming a huge problem as in some areas there are 46 times more plastic than available food for some marine animals. 46 times more plastic by weight or by volume. That's just a minor thing that I when I see that, I'm like, oh, that is so specific, but wait, what do you mean?
Okay.
You know, so okay, so that's it. And then my last note was, I love the scary truth. My only suggestion to make this better would be to perhaps expand on your ways we can fix this, on the solution aspect of the presentation. I think the best way for this team to spend their time the next few days this week is to think about how you can convince the audience to change their behavior in a small way or in a big way so that we are reducing the amount of plastic being dumped.
Great.
Or being used.
Thank you.
Great.
So yeah, great job, team. Great job.
Huge. Okay, excellent. I echo everything Manny said. I'll start there. Excellent work all around, super good. But I see a couple of names here. Marissa, how are you doing? Jalen, how are you? Jarly, do you guys have any thoughts? What did you hear? Any reflections?
I heard about the landfills. I was thinking about putting that in my own project.
Okay.
But that's a good idea that they did it, because there's illegal landfills that really hurting like the South Bronx. Like there's so much illegal stuff going on, and we can't have all that trash in the Bronx because it's really gonna hurt us in the future.
Excellent. Great. Any other thoughts? I just see you guys' names here, so please, if anybody else has anything to say, Marissa, Jarly, Dianelli, Melanie, Gabriel, do you guys have any thoughts? Did you hear anything? What spoke to you?
All right. I thought the whole presentation was pretty eye-opening, because like, even though you may not always see like the big picture in person, like the presentation explains like there's something wrong and we have to do something about it.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally feel you. I hear you. And I'm glad we had a moment to hear from a couple of people, because this was a really good presentation, guys. And especially on what Manny was saying on your slide, Habiba, it was very clear that you had your statistics there. And then it was also very clear that you were speaking from the heart. Like I could feel your passion. I could see that you had done your research and you were telling everybody, you were speaking to us, not at us.
Thank you. You
were speaking with us, and that was really great. So good feedback there. Also for the whole rest of the group, that's something that, we connect with that. I think what I would like to see from y'all's presentation, exactly like you have slide 8, I think you could treat a couple of your other slides this way. I think you could, especially, when you're speaking on something that you feel really comfortable with, you could hit those numbers and then speak to it, show a picture, even and Manny said he likes the palette design, which is everything, that's great. That's your design choice. You can make a larger format, high-res image with a single number and then speak to that and then keep your presentations going. Exactly like you heard from your classmates. It was very eye-opening, and I think you're off to a super good start.
Great. So I'm so glad we got to hear from some of the students. Just to quickly wrap up from the excellent presentation we just saw, I've seen several presentations at this point on climate change, and what stood out from this one compared to others would be that the problem was very clearly defined, and you could tell that they did their research and they were very well prepared. They were so prepared they were able to just talk about what's in their presentation without reading off of the presentation. That takes a certain level of preparation and understanding the material. And this problem impacts so many other aspects of what's going on in the world. It impacts food, it impacts the economy, it impacts our health, and we all know this. But if you sort of talk about all of those things in your presentation and you don't focus on the essential problem, which is just how much plastic is being put out there, then the audience gets lost. What this presentation did a great job at was forget everything else. We're just going to talk about how much plastic is actually being put out there. And it was so focused, it was so clear, we were able to process that. We weren't talking about microplastics in sea salt. We weren't talking about, we weren't talking about, I don't know, other things. It was very focused. So great job, excellent, congratulations.